Welcome to the Peace Catalyst podcast, where we share stories to inspire, uplift, and encourage you in your peacemaking journey. I'm Becca Tyvel, and I work with Peace Catalyst International here in the Washington, D.C. area, and joined by my co-host, Allie Bernison.
Hello, I'm Allie, and I work with PCI in Los Angeles, California. Also, if you enjoy the Peace Catalyst podcast, please do us a favor and take a minute to rate and review the podcast on Apple Podcasts. It just helps boost our visibility and encourages others to give us a listen and find us. So each week we have been introducing a peace quote of the week. And so this week, just given the subject of today's episode, the quote is from Michael Pollan, who is an author, and he wrote In Defense of Food, An Eater's Manifesto, as well as Omnivore's Dilemma and several other books that you might have heard of. But here's the quote. The shared meal elevates eating from a mechanical process of fueling the body to a ritual of family and community, from the mere animal biology to an act of culture.
Oh, that's so cool. I love the emphasis on family and community and food. Yeah, obviously we know food is so much more than just functional. It's community, it's relational, and it really brings people together. And I know for me, it actually changes my emotions like when I eat. Like,
Yes, absolutely.
it could actually bring joy or bring could lift your spirits if you're feeling sad or
Mm-hmm.
I love
Yeah,
that quote.
it's a good one.
So I'm really loving this series that we're doing right now about Afghanistan, where we're listening and learning from Afghans and those who are working alongside them for peace in Afghanistan, and also those who are working with Afghan refugees and others locally and abroad. And you'll see that there is a reason that we chose a peace quote about food this week.
Yes, that is because we are interviewing a chef, Chef Noori, who is the owner of the Mantu, which is a modern Afghan restaurant located in Richmond, Virginia. So actually kind of close to Becca. And Chef Noori began his career in 2003 in Kabul, Afghanistan, and came to the US about 6 years ago. He decided to start his restaurant so he could share Afghan cuisine with the world. And it was just great to hear how he uses his restaurant to provide free welcome meals to incoming Afghan refugees. And he also employs Afghans as chefs and hosts in the restaurant. And it should be mentioned that in May of 2021, Chef Noori made his first appearance on the Food Network as a featured contestant on the culinary competition show Beat Bobby Flay. So we were just so impressed and excited to hear that.
Can't wait.
So thank you so much, Chef Noori, for taking time and meeting with us. To get us started, we would love for you to introduce yourself as well as introduce your restaurant, the Mantu, so we can just start there.
Thank you so much, Ali, for inviting me. I'm Chef Noori, the owner of the Mantu restaurant located at Richmond. I've been to the United States for about 6 years now. It's been about 3 years that I've opened the restaurant. It wasn't easy to open a restaurant from the scratch, but it made me to think of our culture, our people, to introduce the culture to the world. Somehow we have to come up with something to prove to the world that we have that ability to step in and raise our voice. So food was the only way that I was able to go in and introduce our culture to the world.
That's so beautiful. I think, using food as a way to build bridges and, like you said, share your culture is amazing. And I look forward to coming to your restaurant hopefully soon. And we're wondering if Chef Noori, you could tell us a little bit about what your experience was like when you left Afghanistan 6 years ago, and yeah, what was that like for you coming to the US? And if you could just share a little bit about that.
Sure. In Afghanistan, I've been there as a chef for about 16 years. So I was trying to introduce our culture to the world. In Afghanistan, we don't have that much accessibilities to let the world know that we are peace lover people, and we have nothing to do with other distraction groups. The people of Afghanistan are very nice. So for me to come to the United States was to bring over my culture, to introduce our people to the world. We had a great culture, which is always about gathering, always about respecting the families, taking care of your elders. It wasn't easy to move from Afghanistan. I left everything what I had, and I gained a lot back home. I had to start it from scratch. It was a challenge for us. Every moment of our life in Afghanistan was not easy to live, but still we are used to it, and we had to live our life. It was a survival chance for every individual Afghan people in Afghanistan. But there was always suicide attack, like at least 3-4 times a week. When you were living from home to work, you wouldn't believe you can come back and see your family again. And that was the worst moment of our life. So when I decided to come to the United States to bring my kids and start experiencing a new world, and at the same time to bring a message, a peace message to the world, that if they could start changing their ideology, starting to focus on Afghan people. We've been tortured for 4 decades. And my entire life, since I was born up to now, I've never seen a peaceful moment in my life. I suffered a lot. As a kid, I was the breadwinner of my family during the Taliban regime, during the Mujahideen regime. There are 1,000 kids in Afghanistan they are suffering right now, and they used to suffer at those regimes. Nothing has changed. We hope, and we are strong. We still always fight for the hope that we have, for the humanity. Through our culture, through our voice, through our the food that we serve, we don't fight. We always try to show the world that Afghan people are really peace lovers. It is the other countries that are bringing distractions in the country and trying to displace us from our homeland. But we are still focusing on our people right now. I have so many programs right now that I'm working, some projects that I'm going to serve our people back home. Hopefully next couple of weeks, we'll have some projects that are, we're cooking food in Afghanistan and serving to the needy families. We keep trying to help our community, not only our community, the humanity, wherever they are. We are supposed to feel the pain of others. We're supposed to feel the thirst of those who have been isolated from the humanity and forgotten. It's our job. It's the people's job to stand up and help each other.
I love what you said about continuing to fight for and empower those back in Afghanistan, but not just in your country, but people who are oppressed and are in difficult contexts, politically or culturally, whatever the reason may be, everywhere. And yeah, I appreciate the way that you've remembered and carried on the legacy of your culture here. And so we definitely want to talk more about the work that you're doing for those who are resettling, in your community from Afghanistan, and how you are making them feel at home and welcome. But I'm curious to hear whether, when you first arrived in the United States, if there was any significant moment or experience or person that gave you that sense of home here, that you felt hospitality or welcomed by.
There was a friend of mine before I came to United States. He came 6 months ahead of me, and then while I was traveling, I gave his address. So I said I'm gonna move to his address, and but the good thing was that he was like in my neighborhood, like close, door to door. So when our caseworker came and dropped me to the apartment, he said, "I'm gonna call your friend to come and meet you." I was like, maybe he's like far away from me. So he came out of my apartment and went to our neighbor and started knocking the door. I was like, "Is my friend living there?" So he knew that I was coming, and he cooked some Afghani dishes, Afghani plow, Afghani rice with the meat and all that. I feel like I have someone who helped me, and I did not feel alone. But we did not have more help, so I had to get in. I had to find a job for myself. I had to find a way to stand up on my feet. We in the United States, when you come, you have all the resources that the government is supporting you, but that is temporarily. You have to stand up on your feet as soon as you can. You should not rely on the government benefits. They're there always, but not all the time, and you have to use those opportunities to start being resettled and independent. So we cannot be depend on the government and other people. So I had to find a job. So I bought a bike from a thrift store, $25, and I started searching for a job. The first job that I found was Mediterranean Afghani cuisine in Newport News, Norfolk. I worked there for about 6 months. And then I decided to move towards Richmond, which is a bigger city and has more facilities. I worked in a restaurant for about 2 years. Then I feel like this is not my dream. My dream was to open my own space and create my own recipes and work on my culture, my authentic dishes that we cook in Afghanistan. I feel like this dream is not coming true at all. Then I quit the job. I quit the restaurant and I started working in a company at night shift. So during the daytime, I had a chance to go and meet people, serve, introduce Afghani cuisine, cooking food for free most of the time, and not charging anyone. Most of these NGOs, non-profit organizations, I was going there and asking them if they have any meetings or any conferences that I can cook food for them. So from there, then I started like introducing my food, the culture. Then I was introduced to Richmond magazine. Then from there, I started working on my portfolio. People started recognizing me. And then in 2019, I was able to open the Mantu restaurant, which wasn't easy to open the restaurant. I didn't have a business background. I mean, I was a chef, but I did not know how to run a business. It was not easy at all. But I learned. I put my passion, I put my life to make this happen. And then from there, the purpose of this restaurant was to serve those who are in need. Whatever I make, I put some aside for the needy families. Then I start contacting IRC and CCC, all of these other non-profit organizations, that if there's any refugee coming from any part of the world, their first meal would be from the Mantu. So I've kept continuing up to now, since the situation took place in Afghanistan, August 31st, when people had to leave the country. And it was a great time for me to start serving people and bringing their food, making 1,000 meals for our families, their traditional style, so they shouldn't miss the authentic meal. I really feel proud to be able to serve the people, serve their meal. I know it is a really tough time for Afghan people when they leave the country. They left everything what they had, and they have to start over again from the scratch. It is not easy, but it is possible. We can manage to live our life and make a better life again. Every moment of our life is a new beginning, so it's not too late at all to start over again and make your life. But for those who are already resettled, I hope they are lending a hand to those who are new, start supporting them. I've ordered about 8 of new refugees in my restaurant. They're being trained. One of them is the chef of the Mantu right now. I have 2 others that are managing the restaurant. Yeah, I'm trying to support as much as I can. I have a small restaurant. It's not too big. But it's a small restaurant. I'm trying to do as much as I can.
Yeah, that is incredible. And, you know, I think that's kind of how we learned about you, is actually through your partnership with IRC, International Rescue Committee, even though you are like a world-renowned chef, because you competed on, is it called You Can't Beat Bobby Flay?
Beat Bobby Flay.
Beat Bobby Flay, okay. And did you beat him?
Well, no, it's not easy to beat this guy. But I could beat the other chef, which wasn't easy. She had like 25 years experience, and she owned the restaurant. Like,
that's awesome.
I couldn't believe that I was in a show. I mean, I wasn't sure. When I received an email from their production, I feel like, no, it can be a scam. Then I called a friend of mine. He's a big company. I said, well, there are so many scam companies that are trying to write your email and then invite you for something. Don't worry about it. And I was like, no, let me respond them back. So I responded them, then they said, okay, let's have an interview. So until they booked a ticket for me, I wasn't sure. I was like, it's not gonna work. When they booked the ticket, and then I feel like, yeah, this is really happening.
That's amazing.
When I go to New York, and I was like, wow, it is really actually what's happening.
Wow.
But it was really good. He is a very nice gentleman, very supportive. I couldn't believe that, you know, standing beside Bobby Flay, it was just a dream for me. And I was keep telling myself that, is it real? Am I dreaming?
That's so awesome.
It was an awesome show. I made the Mantu dumpling, which is the star dish of a restaurant.
Yeah, we're actually wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about the meaning of the Mantu, like the word, and then also the dish. Because Ali saw a video that says it means me and you. So if you could just tell us a little bit more about that.
When I started making the Mantu dumpling, and one of the big event we had called UGK, the dumpling itself is boat shaped. we start with vegetables and meat. But I come up with, since the Mantu means me and you, then I try to change it to a rose shape. So me and you and the rose, which connects. It was before opening the restaurant, and I was doing some events. When I displayed the Mantu dumpling, and when you cook the Mantu, the dough itself, when it's steamed, we steam the dumpling. So when it's steamed, then it blossoms like a flower, like a rose itself. It opens up. Then I felt like, hopefully, if one day I open the restaurant, I'm going to name the restaurant the Mantu. Then that dream, it wasn't too far. Like after 6 months, I was able to open a restaurant. And then my friends, they were asking me, so you're opening a restaurant, so what is the name of your restaurant? I would say, the Mantu, the Mantu, the Mantu. All the time, I was just saying to the people, the Mantu dumpling. But later on, people start asking me, what does the Mantu means? So, and it has two meanings. The Mantu itself is the dish, the Mantu dumpling. And also it means me and you. Man means me, tu means you. So it is a spiritual connection between me and you, which is connecting people. And then in the restaurant, we have a community table, which it's a big table that like 30 people can sit in. So that was always for introducing people, gathering, introducing the culture. You can find people from all over the world and coming to a restaurant. They can join and learn the cultures from each other.
Yeah, I would love to hear a bit more about that and how you see sharing meals and sitting at the same table and just everything that comes with the process and ritual of like sharing a meal together, how you see that connecting people from different cultures and walks of life and perspectives, and how that builds peace, if at all, if you see an intersection between peace building and sharing food, sharing meals together.
So the best connection between people is food. This is our culture back home in Afghanistan. If there is anything like, if there are two tribes are having issues with each other, then the third tribe comes and says, okay, we make food, so I want you all to come and meet each other. So whatever, all the problems will be solved when you have meal with someone. And the food brings happiness. It connects you, it connects the people, and there's a spiritual connection between, when you're serving meal to others, no matter how tough the situation is. But once you have, when you're hungry and you need food, you will appreciate that moment. And it is the best way to connect people, to introduce people. We're all from one resource. Humanity is all from one single soul. That's what we believe. So to connect back to ourselves is easy through the food, which is the easiest way. We don't have to do anything bigger. Just like most of the time, we just do tea. Just bring someone on the table. Once someone is on the table, then all the problems will be solved. So when I say the Mantu and the dumpling itself, the rose is also a sign of peace. When two persons are fighting, and then the two person comes and tries to bring a peace between them, is offer them a rose and a meal, and all problem will be solved.
That's amazing. I think it's amazing how simple, food can bring people together and bring joy, like you're saying, because I find that to be true in my own life. And, it's so incredible how you were able to come to the US and start this restaurant and start all of this amazing work that you're doing to help others coming to the US. And sort of cool how you were able to go first and then be sort of a welcoming presence for people. And that's really beautiful. And we're just curious, like what kind of continues to sustain you in this work of running your restaurant and helping people in the community, helping your fellow Afghans coming to the US, and what sort of a vision or dream that maybe you have carrying you forward and into the future as well.
The moment you start thinking about serving others, I mean, there is a little bit challenges that you have to face, but most of the time, once you decide that you're serving people, there are so many doors start opening towards you, and then it gives you more spiritual energy. So once you start helping, then you feel like when people talks about heaven, I feel the heaven here without going to heaven myself. When you serve people, then you feel that moment when you're happy, when the people are happy, you feel heaven there. So serving others, serving those who are in need, this is opportunity for those who are more fortunate. It is a God gifted to us when you have the ability to serve others, and but you shouldn't keep it for yourself. And it creates more love and more joyfulness to your community. Life is temporarily, the body itself is one day passes away, but for ourselves to be live forever is to help those who are in need. I mean, there are so many people around you are supporting. Trust me, when I opened the restaurant, I did not have enough budget to open this restaurant. It was the people of our around us, the community. They all came together. They helped me. They supported me from the scratch.
Yeah, it sounds like, or at least what I heard in that response was people sustaining you in the work and people motivating you to continue the work. And I've actually just made a really fun connection throughout this conversation with you. So I'm Armenian, and one of my favorite dishes is Mantu. And I am realizing it's like effectively the same thing, but we put it in soup, but yeah, it's like the little boats with the meat inside. So I think it's like, it seems to be a shared dish maybe between Afghanistan and Armenia, and maybe Turkey too. And
well, we have Armenians in Afghanistan too.
Okay.
We had Armenians, and then all of these other regimes, they made them to leave the country. Armenians, like most of the Asian countries, they have a culture which is all connected. They all came from the same root. You say Manti. In Turkish also they have similar dumplings. Chinese wonton. So they're all from I don't know, like must be centuries that used to be together, but they all have different meanings. I mean, different way of cooking, but all the same. So they all bring joys and bring happiness to the table. It has different names, but when it comes to the meal, it connects people, and that's the best thing about the meal. So when I change it to the rose, that means like it makes you more closer to your community, to your friends and families, which is a God gifted.
Yes, I love that imagery. It's really profound. So as a final fun question, do you have a favorite dish from Afghanistan, either that you cook or just to enjoy?
Maybe it's the Mantu.
Right, could be the Mantu.
I knew it.
I love cooking the Mantu. I love, the dishes that I cook, it took me about 3 months to make, to prepare all those recipes. The first one was, of course, the Mantu, which this small dumpling changed my life. when you have a strength or thinking about your destination, a small thing can bring so many changes in your life. This Mantu dumpling, or as Armenian says, mante, um, it really changed my life, and it changed so many people's life around me. It's unbelievable. But the purpose of this was to serve, to bring your voice up and start using your ability. You start using your skills, um, and to let the people, to the world know that even though it's been about decades that we are in fight in Afghanistan. Afghanistan is in war, but you can still find people who are thirsty of peace. And this is a message from the Afghan people in Afghanistan when I came from there. And they always look. We had 20 years a dream. I usually call it a fake dream, which it took out of us. Like it was just like a blink. The entire country went back to the same darkness moment that we came from. We barely made able to came out of those dark situations. But I cannot believe when I see some of the concerts in Afghanistan that like before Taliban took over, how happy people are. It was totally different. People made like a heaven for them in the country, and all of a sudden it turned upside down. We lost whatever we gained for 20 years. The government was not a strong government. It wasn't a people government. We did not vote for them. It was the contractors from other countries, and that's why the country collapsed so fast. But still, even though we knew that the government is a fake government, is a contractor, but we still had hope. We still, like, our kids were happy. They were going to schools, even though we still had, we were losing our lives every day by the suicides. But we still had some hope of democracy, of freedom. Our kids go to school. Women's were free. In 20 years, we gained a lot in having educations. But this evacuation turned Afghanistan back to, like, centuries back to the darkness. Right now, we don't have any educated people in Afghanistan. Everybody left the country. So the country is now running with uneducated people, which is not safe. You can fight to take over a country, but you cannot run the country with the gun. You need education. You need the people. You need a woman beside you. Men cannot run any part of the world. It was really tough. It is really tough. Right now, we are facing the 30 million people of Afghanistan is facing human crisis. The entire world is just silently watching. This is the worst part of my life when I think about my country, when I think about serving them. I cannot serve the entire world, the entire country. Maybe I can serve a small part of the group, but the governments need to change their ideology. It's winter time. People are starving. They don't have anything to eat. It's not easy to live in Afghanistan right now. So we're fighting to death right now to survive. I already experienced these moments back home when Taliban first took the country. And I know each and every moment I experienced all of those moments of life when we did not have food, when we did not have, when it was winter, no blanket, no water to drink, no food to eat, and there is no work to do. And the same situation is right now. It's taking place and it's happening. The kids are starving. A couple of months ago, we had a bunch of kids died because of not having food. Someone has to do something. The entire world is making progress in their technologies. They can do anything to, if they wanted to change the world, they can do it because they have the power. Uh, Taliban is a small group. They can be forced to let the people live their life in a proper way. It is nothing to do with the religion. Taliban does not know anything about the religion itself. I'm a Muslim person and I know what Islam says about. Islam gives most right to the woman more than the man. But this small group is misusing the name of Islam. Their ideology does not match to the religion of Islam, to any religions. In Islam, we say woman is the root of a society. The foundation of a home is the woman. If the foundation is not strong, the house cannot stay stable. But these guys, they are ignorant. They don't know anything about the religion. They don't know anything about the human life. Their job is to just keep destroying the country. We need action. I've seen so many people around us when they're coming to restaurant. They say we pray. They say we always pray for your country, and I say please do not pray, because right now, do your job the best as you can, and then pray so that God will help you to make that happen. But to just pray and watch, it doesn't make any difference.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need a prayer right now. We need someone to stand up and do something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just talking about Afghanistan, Palestine. There are so many other countries are starving to date. African countries.
Mm-hmm.
It's not only about my life. I felt those pain. I felt the starvation. I felt the hunger. I felt insecure. And that's why I'm here. I'm here not to enjoy my life. I'm here to let the world know that we are in pain. Even though the country Afghanistan is a mountain country. It is one of the richest countries based on resources that we have. And the poorest people. I'm asking these first world countries that, of course, they need resources. So go ahead and take all the resources that you want. But give us a little bit peace. Let us live our life. We don't deserve to be slaughtered on the street. It's been about 4 decades that they are slaughtering us on the streets of Kabul. They're throwing our bodies to the rivers. Why? Human being is kind of going against the nature of human being. It seems that we are not calling ourselves as human being anymore because we don't feel the pain of others. We've forgotten our nature. We are being away from our nature, even though all we do is be greedy and start making money and putting in the banks, and that does not change the world. I start from nothing. There are so many people like me. They start from. If you have to help people, you don't have to be rich. Money does not bring happiness. It's our action. It's our ability, our strength that change people's mind. I didn't have to have billions of dollars to open this restaurant and then let the people know that this is how the culture is. I start from scratch, from nothing. But now I'm able to, and I feel proud that I have been able to use my time to serve the people. As a small help can bring changes, but as long as we stand up. Some of us will go to space, but instead of going to space, see what you have in your planet. In our religion, we say our people go to Mecca to worshiping the house of God, but the priority is to see if your neighbors are okay with their food. then you can go and visit the house of God. Nowadays, nobody thinks about that. Everybody wants to have a name, that someone went to the space. They want their name to be in this history. I don't want my name to be in history. I want to serve people who are in need. The world can change. They have their facility. We did not create any terror groups. We have nothing to do with these terror groups. It's the governments that are playing with our lives. I hope we one day could reverse the mirror and see ourselves, that how far are we from our God, from our humanity, from those that we claim ourselves that we are human beings.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all of that. I think, yeah, that is such an important reflection for us as I'm sure many of our listeners too, have a lot of care for Afghanistan and what's been happening, and, have been praying for the people there and people coming here, and for peace in the land. And, maybe for those who are curious, like ways that they could support the projects that you're doing there, what would you say would be the best way for them to support that?
So right now I have a few friends of mine that I called them a couple of days ago, and I said I'm trying to cook food and serve people, or either make bags of food, raw food, and they can cook. But it depends if they don't have equipments to cook. Most of them, they are displaced from their houses and they don't have anything to cook the food and stuff. Right now we're trying to save about 1,000 meals from the restaurant itself, and then we'll see if people start supporting us, then we'll make it more. But that's how much I can make right now from what I have. I start selling. I come up with the T-shirt, selling the T-shirts for $20. So this $20 is a good amount of money back home in Afghanistan. It serves like 5 people. So I'm trying my best to do what I can. I know it's not enough, but it is awareness for the others who are kind of pretending not to see what's going on in other part of the world, or just give them a wake-up sign that we can do anything. Like if I can serve someone with $20, anybody can do that. So hopefully by next week, we're going to start. There's a team of 6 people. I have some friends that we used to work together in the restaurant. They're cooking food, and we're sending fun from here to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there somewhere where people could make a donation to support those efforts?
People start asking me how to donate money. We created a small button on our website. They want to donate, then so every donations when they put money, and then we always show them where the money goes to, so they shouldn't feel like we were saving the money. The money will not be saved in our accounts. Each and every penny that if anybody spends, it should go to the people who are in need. I've done this by myself right up to now, but if people start supporting us, then they are most welcome, and we will make their monies and send them to the right people. We go door to door. We do not go like there are some organizations back in Afghanistan that they say they are supporting Afghans. We don't trust those organizations anymore. We just cook the food and go to people's store. Ask them to gather some information, how many people we can serve, and we have so many disabled people in the country. We have blind people in Afghanistan. They are the priority. They need more help. So we'll start from them, and then we'll go from there and see how many people we can serve.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Chef Nori. It's been such an honor to interview you and hear your story. And thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for giving me the time, sharing our painful stories, and you guys are listening to these moments that we are suffering. And thank you for sharing our voice to the people. Hopefully, we're looking for a better future of humanity, a peaceful environment for all humanities and any part of the world, because we're all connected and we feel the pain of any creature around us. Hopefully, kids in Afghanistan, kids in other countries, in other poor countries could not suffer for the food. Let's hope and work, put stuff in action
Amen.
in the people's need.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Ali.
Wow, that was just such a great conversation with Chef Nori. So many things came to mind as he was speaking. I mentioned in our conversation with him about my own personal connection to the dish that he was describing. And how in my own Armenian culture, how we have a very similar dish, which is, essentially the same thing. And I think that just really speaks to some of the themes that he was drawing on throughout the interview of just interconnectedness and how, we don't exist in cultures that don't touch each other or aren't related somehow. But that food has this profound ability to connect us and to communicate something beyond, just the like the quote, like Michael Pollan's quote. It's not just about this mechanical biological process, but it's like a ritual, and it can unite and communicate and empower. Those were just a few of the things that really stuck out to me as he was talking, and how he is using his particular gifts and his particular place in Richmond to welcome those who are coming to the US, of course, under completely traumatic circumstances. So
Yeah. I was thinking about Pawasha when he shared that because I just remember her story of coming to the US and how, like, even though, like, yeah, you get food and that's good because you need food to survive, but like how much of a difference it made to have like her food, like from her culture that she's used to. And so, yeah, I just thought that is must be such a powerful experience for Afghans who are coming to the US to be able to experience a delicious meal from that they're used to having, and how much that probably makes them feel at home at a time when couldn't be further from from the truth. Yeah.
right. Yeah. I shared with you earlier, Becca, that as Chef Nuri was talking, I was reminded of a class I took during seminary on food and feasting and famine, those themes throughout the Old Testament of the Bible. And so I was just thinking about how we studied food and its connection to various themes such as, redemption and remembrance and um, different kind of different motifs that we see throughout the Bible and how food interacts. And
Mhm.
so specifically, with restoration, just in light of what you shared about what it might be like for refugees coming to the US, I have to imagine that relationship with Chef Nori is incredibly restoring, as well as the food itself,
Mhm.
nourishing.
Yeah, totally. And, I think it's so amazing that he came to the US and started all of this and created this beautiful business and a place where he can do that. Like he can provide a welcoming space for other Afghans coming to the States. And yeah, it's just kind of cool. He's like their welcoming committee, and he knows what it's like. He's been there. He's lived through similar things. And like you're saying, even just being connected to him personally is probably such a huge blessing for them. And yeah, and I just commenting on what you were saying earlier about food as well. I think it's so cool how he like transformed the mantu into like the rose shape too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was saying how the rose is also a symbol of peace and coming to the table and putting aside animosity to share food. So it's really cool.
Great. Right. Yeah, that was something that he kept speaking on throughout our time with him, just this message of humanity and how even though we are miles away from what's happening in Afghanistan and for many of us, I definitely won't say all, but for many of us in a Western American context, we can't imagine what he was describing with, starvation or at least not receiving what you need physically.
Mhm.
But yet, how can we connect to those stories and those realities in Afghanistan and in other parts of the world, as he acknowledged, and even in our own communities, and yeah, just that you're right, that rose, that symbol of you and me, solidarity. Yeah, definitely. I am like left with questioning, how to feel and um feel the pain of others, or to see the suffering, to not turn a blind eye.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's what's so cool about his restaurant and the work he's doing is like that's a very tangible way to kind of participate in helping people who are suffering through some of those awful things. So I think like obviously if you can go to the restaurant, that's awesome.
Mhm.
That's an awesome way to support if you can make a donation on their website. Um, or even if you buy a t-shirt, all of that is going towards supporting what Chef Noori and his restaurant are doing. And I think that collaboration with IRC is so cool. But yeah, like you're saying, I think even just like being connected to those stories and being willing to listen and hear and then take steps of action is really powerful. And I know there's like things that we can all be doing to also, advocate within our own government to help people in Afghanistan with the current situation. So I think that's something for us to consider as well.
Right, absolutely, because that was definitely also a something that he emphasized towards the end of our conversation was, like, take action.
Mhm.
And how can the world just watch? I remember he said something like that. And so
Mhm.
yeah, you bring up a great point about advocacy as well as, giving, and listening. It kind of all goes hand in hand, I guess.
Storytelling, I think it's like, the power of how we share stories and how we listen to stories and how we can even use that as a tool for advocacy too. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you'd like more info about Peace Catalyst or would like to support our peace building work, please visit our website at peacecatalyst.org.